Some LEGO builds are about technique and some are about display, and then there's builds like this one that pull you into a story and make you want to slow down. Today I'm building the LEGO Sherlock Holmes Book Nook, and this feels less like a set, more like a mystery. Hey everyone, I'm Paul, and we're going to go through 5 different aspects of this build. We're going to look at the overall impression that you get, the atmosphere that it creates. We're going to talk about this fold open function, the Book Nook quality of it in general. We're going to talk a little bit about all of the details that are in here. For a small space, there's a lot going on. We'll share a little bit about some of the secrets and some of the hidden details, but I'm not going to go into a lot of information about that because I want to keep a lot of that as a surprise for you if you're going to build it. And then lastly, we're really going to talk about then who is this set really for? If you were thinking about getting it for yourself or as a gift for somebody, who's it really marketed for? Who's it best for? And at the end, we'll do a little magic and speed build for you. I don't know why I said magic. This is a detective story, not a magic story. Anyway, stick around. Here we go. What's in the box? All right, so you're going to get 10 bags of pieces. You're also going to get a sticker sheet. I love stickers. Some people don't. I understand that. But you're stuck here because they are quite important for storytelling. There are some cape pieces and collar pieces, which is really interesting. For a small number of minifigures, you really get quite a few pieces like that, which is great. And a couple of pre-printed pieces. There's a couple of newspapers and also the Baker Street signs as well. So it's nice to have those unique elements in this set. You also get 5 minifigures. So of course you get Sherlock Holmes himself. He's wearing his famous deerstalker hat and a very, very large magnifying glass. You have Dr. Watson, his sidekick. You have Moriarty, who is Sherlock Holmes's arch nemesis. You have Irene Adler, an interesting inclusion here because she doesn't appear consistently throughout Sherlock Holmes lore, but does appear in a few stories and in some of the film and television adaptations in various ways. You also have a newsboy, and so he's representing the Baker Street Irregulars, who were the Sherlock Holmes spies in the neighborhood, which is really fun. That really adds personality, and it really encourages sort of setting different kinds of scenes here. All right, let's start with atmosphere. So this set really is about setting a mood, and unlike some of the other book nooks that are out there, whether they're in Lego form or not, there is this exterior detail, and I want to start here because this is this famous silhouette of Sherlock Holmes. When you're putting it together, it's built very cleverly. I think it looks incredible, and it's that classic silhouette that we might be used to if you've read any of the Sherlock Holmes novels by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. When you look down the alleyway, you also immediately get this atmosphere set. So this is that Victorian London street. I don't even have to be an expert on what Victorian London looks like, but it has enough architectural and visual cues that let me know that that's really where we are, and it looks as authentic as it can in Lego form, even without opening it up. So we're going to stop there just for a moment. But I think it really looks terrific. On the back side, you do have just a plain side. So even though this is sort of constructed to look like the front of a book itself, it doesn't feature a back portion. And you know what? At first, I thought that was going to be disappointing, but really that's not the part that I'm focusing on. This set is really something that you're going to come back and look at over and over again rather than play with. And so those design choices, that atmosphere actually makes sense for me. When it comes to how well it functions as an actual book nook, let's start with the basics. This is the standard width that Lego seems to be going for with their book nooks. There have only been a couple so far, and they all seem to be the same width. In terms of the height, this one is a little taller than the Harry Potter one, but about the same height as the Balrog one. And it is very compact. It does feel very substantial when you're holding it, which I really like. That Balrog one was a little bit tougher. And it's hinged really well through the center here. So I wouldn't pick it up from one side only, but it definitely holds together really nicely and comes together when it opens up in such a beautiful way. It's really seamless looking. I think from a design perspective, A+ for that. This really does look beautiful. And so I'm going to probably display it open myself, so I don't really miss having it in a book nook, but it does work. It has the book quality, which is the only one of the series so far that does kind of give you that book look. So it fits in. It's the right height to fit on a bookshelf and the right depth as well. And I think that works really beautifully. So high scores for that part. Another place where this I think really wins, and that is design detail. So the exterior has a lot of fun detail on it, as we talked about, but the inside is really where things come to life. And I'm going to sort of go from left to right and really walk you through some of the highlights that I see. So Victorian London streets were often very tightly packed, very vertically oriented, and more shoulder to shoulder, not a lot of open space. So in the Book Nook design itself, what the designers have done really well is that the buildings feel compressed and tall. There's very little open space really here. And the street, when it's put together, it really does feel enclosed and almost claustrophobic. So in some ways, I think very cleverly, it mirrors that 19th century London feeling, especially around the areas where Sherlock Holmes stories were set. So bravo on that. Victorian architecture also used a lot of brick, so we see that here in different colors, and we see some of these darker choices of color like dark reds and browns and neutrals, and there's really like the minimal modern smoothness that we would associate with living in the 20th century and 21st century. So that gives you sort of that industrial era London kind of feeling. It doesn't have like Georgian elegance, for example, and I know really into architecture now. You've got the bay windows and the projecting upper floors. Again, those are really key, and you've got that gas style street lighting. So again, it's that narrowness, and it really works really well for Sherlock Holmes because it gives you that feeling of being inside a Sherlock Holmes story with enough visual cues and difference from building to building to really make that work. All in all, what makes this feel so authentically Sherlock Holmes isn't just one detail. It's the combination of the tight streets, the brick facades, the bay windows, the gas lamp lighting. It sort of captures that Victorian London feeling as a place, where people lived and worked. It's not just a backdrop for mystery, which I think is really fun. So if you enjoy complex engineering, this may feel a little more straightforward to you, but if you like traditional classic housing and architecture, then this will feel like a great build for you. Now let's get into some of these design details. And for that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to do a couple of spoilers. So if you want to skip through this section, please do. Otherwise, consider yourself warned, because they do contain some of the coolest parts of this set that surprised me. I wasn't expecting some of them. And so it really upped the ante for me on why I love it so much. So I'll take the minifigs out of the way so you can see, but going from left to right. So over here we have the elementary bookshop. So this actually gives you a couple of stickers inside here to give some depth. There really is no such bookshop in any of the stories. This is just named after the famous phrase, elementary, my dear Watson. The really fun thing here is that the front display actually swivels open, and it does have a secret, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because if you're going to build it, I don't want to spoil that surprise. In the center, you do have this beautiful black door, and when I was building it, I have to say it's very interesting the way it's built sideways, and then this section on top is sort of empty, but I couldn't figure out what was going on until I realized that it's actually for a reveal. So when you turn the chimney, who pops out? Moriarty, his arch nemesis, who's been hiding there all along. Really cool. I mean, I'm not nimble-fingered enough, but it's very cool. And then you go over to the right-hand side. I'm sorry, I keep knocking these, but you have 221B, which is where Sherlock Holmes lives. If you open up that door, you'll see one little sticker that gives you a little bit of an inside view. And I guess the big reveal here is what happens on the top floor, where it all opens up to actually show his office space. So you've got a couple of storytelling cues, including his violin, some maps, a famous artwork on the wall, if you know, you know, etc. But this, again, I wasn't expecting to build. Really a lot of fun. Up here in one of these windows, there actually is a shadowy figure, which is a black minifig head. It's actually referencing something from one of the stories, which is a super fun little Easter egg as well. One of the things I really love is the cobblestoning detail. It's got the flat surfaces, but also grips for the minifigs. And when you put the whole thing together, it really does give you that cobblestone street look that you're looking for. Finally, who is this really for then? So this is clearly a display piece. It is really perfect for collectors like myself, but also Sherlock Holmes fans, whether you read the books or just are fans of the movies and TV series. It really is for someone who appreciates that part of it, or who just is looking for a fun bookshelf display. If you're looking for a full 360 play build, this clearly isn't it. And there we are. You know, this build reminded me of why I love Lego as a creative outlet. It's not about a speed build. It's not about doing scale or wild techniques. It's about atmosphere and storytelling and really being able to get pulled into it, into that quiet place while you build. If any of this resonated with you, I'm glad you were here. Whether you have this Lego set, whether you have any Lego set, no matter what you got on cue, what you're dreaming of, or what you want to build, doesn't matter. You got this. Thanks for joining me on Build and Bond, where we're building more than just bricks. If you want to know the mystery of how all this comes together, stick around. Here's a speed build for you. See you next time.